Go right after it. It's just another nightmare, yeah, another month.
This is the Harbor Shellfish Advisory Board, December 3rd. And this meeting is being called to order. Can we have an approval of the agenda, please?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion's made by Mr. Anderson, seconded by Mr. Bossy to approve tonight's agenda. Mr. Anderson,
Aye.
Mr. Bossy.
Aye.
Mr. Sherlin.
Aye.
Mr. Brace.
Aye.
Mr. Franzuto.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Anything from the Marine Department?
No, she's not.
We'll go right into natural
We
resources.
have minutes, Mr.
I'm
Chair.
sorry. Oh,
Approval of
minutes. I'm sorry.
We did have minutes.
Has everybody had a chance to review the draft minutes for November 19th?
Yes.
Any revisions suggested? If not, I'll accept a motion to approve.
I'll make that. I'll second it.
Motion's made by Mr. Bossy, seconded by Mr. Anderson to approve the draft minutes of November 19th. All in favor, Mr. Bossy.
Aye.
Mr. Anderson.
Aye.
Mr. Brace.
Aye.
Mr. Sherlin.
Aye.
Mr. Franzuto.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Natural Resources Report, Tara Riley, please.
All I have is, there were probably about 14 totes of seed over the past couple weeks, on the beach. And, the tides weren't really cooperating, so we didn't make an effort to rescue those. But we did go in and move around 30 bushels of seed from Wawinnet that were in the shallows where the stranding was, and move those out to First Bend. And then tomorrow morning, we are opening Sacagawea Pond.
Ooh.
Still waiting on one thing from the insurance company. Hopefully that comes through at 8:30 tomorrow, but that's the plan. To do that. And I think that's kind of it for this time of year. We're just monitoring the fishery and checking for strandings and making plans for next season.
Thank you. Any questions? On the Natural Resources Report? Thank you, Tara. Any public comment? Draft letter to the Select Board requesting participation of SHAB in related matters. This is related matters to Vineyard Wind or offshore wind particularly. We talked about this again last week. It was thought that maybe we should not, since my verbal request was denied specifically for executive session meetings, but it was discussed here that maybe it would be a good idea if we could be involved in open meeting discussions, which seem to be a consensus of the board to move forward with that. Do we have a letter, Mr. Brace?
No, because, I mean, this is. I should have caught this when we put it on old business, but at the last meeting, we edited it. Removed the stuff about executive session and the full disclosure at the bottom. And then this board told me to send it to Erica. So I did that.
So it's
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's already done.
So we took care of it last time.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah,
all
it's-
right.
it's
Thank you.
my mistake for not.
No,
noticing it.
not a problem. Okay, so, which leads us to, do we create an advisory to the select board? It seems like, there has been a lot of pushback from the public and particular groups on, the good neighbor agreement.
I'm sorry, Andy. We, at the last meeting, this board decided. To have me write that advisory letter. And that all of us. Well. The other 6 members were gonna send me notes
Right,
and points
right.
to write that letter. 2 of us have sent it to me.
Oh,
So I'm waiting for the rest of
I,
you.
I have one point, I'll send it to you, I forgot, I missed it on the calendar.
So I didn't write the letter because I want to have everything in front of me. I got, well, we got something from Scott and something from Dave.
great,
And I know that,
Okay.
you know, it was because of the holiday and, you know, so,
all right.
so
I'll get you my clear. Sorry.
I'll
about that.
reschedule it.
don't worry about it. I mean,
Mr. Bossy, was that your letter? To the Inquirer Mirror, or was it online?
About, I didn't see it yet, I did submit one about the. Who'd you vote, what'd you vote for? Windmill, did you vote for or against windmills? If not, it'd be in the paper tomorrow,
Okay,
I would
all
assume they
right.
accepted it, yeah.
Well, it's,
I got one online somewhere.
I guess so. It
Oh.
was sent to me indirectly
That's
and,
interesting,
and,
because I haven't seen it yet. Yeah.
so. Is there anything in that you'd like to discuss tonight? It seemed like a great idea because the suggestions are coming out from the select board. And I don't believe the select board should be hammered. We're here to support the select board.
Right,
I believe, and they're suggesting, and others are suggesting that we really need to reach out to higher branches.
Beyond that, which was the point of that letter.
Such as
Right.
the governor
Governor and senator,
and,
Yeah.
yes.
right, that was the point of that letter, nothing to do with windmills per se, it was let's direct. I thought it was more, it would be better use directing it over top of our select board to the people that they have to work with.
Mhm.
And who actually caused this, our select board didn't choose to put windmills out there. State of
Right.
Massachusetts chose to allow windmills out there, so.
Well, but they have, the select board had that forum. It was at the same time as our previous meeting.
Right.
And, they're soliciting suggestions, comments from the public. And this is related to South Coast wind. Not vineyard.
Not
wind.
vineyard, right,
And, I believe those suggestions have to be in soon. Because, Boehm is, going to give their approval or not by December 18th, I think I had heard. Unless it gets held up somehow. So, I just felt like. And I thought. This board should be polled on whether we send a letter further than. Just the select board on how we feel. First of all, we have to come to consensus of how we feel. Two of you have already sent stuff to Peter. I'd like to say I intend to as well. Jim's mentioned he intends to as well. So. But do we go beyond sending an advisory to the select board, and do we send that, possibly that same letter of advisory to the governor?
And senator,
To the
I
senator.
certainly would, absolutely, because I mean, that was the whole point of it, that we need to. We need to move this up the ladder.
Yeah.
You gotta get to the decision makers who.
Right,
sold us
make
out.
them realize what's going on here, because, you know, and, from the people, not just from the select board.
so do we write two letters or do we make this a letter that appeals to everybody as a statement? You know what I'm saying?
I would say it should be the same letter, the copy of the letter to both of them. But time is of the essence, if they're really gonna make a decision in 2 weeks.
Right. 14th, yeah, our next meeting is the 17th.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, third. So it would be.
So I guess the question is, how do we get our information to Peter, which we should have all done and didn't, and how do we get it and get something written and then,
Well, email it to me.
oh yeah, I can send it to you, but we have to approve it. This is probably a letter we should all read and approve and send. That's my point. I mean, we could do a special Zoom meeting. We have to advertise it, but do a special Zoom meeting only and, by Zoom participations, and public can join, anybody can join. If we wanted to do that.
And I'm leaving Island on the 14th.
Okay.
So I'll be there for that meeting.
Yeah, it's a shame that it got this late. I didn't realize that there was a deadline. That wasn't even part of my thought process with that.
What's the deadline?
You would have had to have watched the forum, which was rather lengthy, almost 3 hours.
Right.
To find
To
that
pick
out,
that
I
out,
believe.
okay.
So maybe, I mean, that's a good idea, Dave. Peter, how do you feel about, we'll stick to our regular time and day, just out of order. Should we have a Zoom meeting for this one particular item
Next Tuesday, I have a Zoom
on the
meeting.
10th at 5 o'clock?
Okay,
And that way the letter, you can send the letter out to us previously, so we're ready for it to discuss it at the meeting, even right before the meeting.
so
Doesn't
that
matter.
means everyone's gotta get their stuff to me.
Right. No, we have to do that right away, right. Our personal concerns and then meld them together. That would be my suggestion. They copy everybody.
Okay.
Dave, good with that? Mr. Franzuto?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Rest of the board,
So
Scott?
Bohm's making the decision or the state is making the decision?
Sounds like Bohm is making the decision December
That's
18th.
either, you gotta get it to center, look, and then be able to respond to them in that short window too.
Get to,
Get the senators or the governor needs to be able to get to Bohm before Bohm makes
before,
the
right,
decision.
right, which is why if we
It's a
can
little
do
more
this,
cumbersome.
right,
Well, do we send it to Bohm as well?
do we have contact, do we have a way to do that? I don't know.
I just gotta be.
Sure, Bobby would know, or
It's a government agency, what
Yeah,
is,
it's gotta be-
saying Bobby might know.
yeah,
Well, I would say if we have that, we should do that. If we can get a contact, method to contact them and get it to them. Gotta be a way to do comments. We're gonna
Right.
make a decision.
mhm. All right, any other discussion on this item? Not seeing or hearing any. I kept this on here, not sure if we had, finished discussion on it. Specifically, Jim, on, Scarlet Dredge modifications. Since our previous meeting was, really focused heavily on the bushel limit increase.
Sure.
Anything more to discuss on this?
I think maybe the easiest solution would be just put in the regulations is not to have more rings than a standard dredge would have for the size.
But have you already had an issue with the Shellfish Constable on counting rings?
I have not, but other people have been looked at for how deep their rings were on the dredge. I mean, I had JC look at mine the other day and he didn't have a problem with it. I think maybe the one other issue that somebody had was it might have been overweight more than the ring count.
I did hear that.
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay,
There was an actual fraction or not.
But we should clarify it somehow.
Yes,
so
I
that
agree.
There's no ambiguity, right?
So like I counted mine the other day and for the same size dredge, I actually have one less ring. But I'm 6 deep in the center, but the sides are 9. To make the curve chain sweep. So it's actually one less ring than it would be if it was 7 by 9. On a standard dredge. I mean, I feel like that's reasonable for,
and is your dredge ending up being lighter than the typical dredge?
well. It's not heavy, I know that. I made sure I weighed them when I built them.
Mm-hmm.
I think you said 30,
Yeah, 35 is the max. I think they're about 30 pounds.
yeah, but then you also said 1.28. What were you
That's
for?
inches for the maximum
That's-
dredge size.
Okay.
The cutting bar, 20 inches.
It's the width.
Yes, so which would be 7 by probably 12 rings, 96. So no. 100%.
You know, it sounds a little wild, but it might be. It might be beneficial to the non-fishermen for you to bring it in.
The dredge,
Yeah, I mean,
okay,
well, so you can. So we know what, or you could do, you know,
A couple pictures would probably.
do a
be
photo
fine.
and
Yeah,
draw
I mean,
arrows and say this is this, so,
maybe that.
cause I know roughly what you're talking about, but
I think I did send some pictures.
you did, you know,
Okay. One thing about a chain dredge is like you can't like guys traditionally put weights on a regular dredge. You can put a weight on a train sweep dredge, but it doesn't do anything. You can't push the chain down any harder.
Alright,
The chain's to change the chain. You can't.
that's why I'm curious as to how the other individual ended up with a heavier dredge.
I think it's just the way it's built.
Yeah,
They might use heavier stock and a heavier chain sweep and more rings or something.
I have a question. Are
So-
you using 20, like a 22 or 24?
Yes.
Or both?
I think the widest one I have is a 24, but most of mine are 22s or 20s, I think.
We ordered 4 dredges for the town to run some tests on. Using a guy that's an advisor from BIMS from the Sea Scald fishery. He's done like he's a professor and he's done like some dredge studies and that sort of thing. So he's helping us design something so we can test out all the different dredges. Just so that we have an idea of like what it does.
What they do, the bottom and everything else.
Yeah, but also we're gonna test like the regular dredges and we'll do the same test on everything.
I have a patent, by the way, so.
I wasn't in charge of the ordering.
Just kidding.
I would have definitely called you.
okay, so,
Another
yes,
question.
Peter,
So it's instead of a bar in the front, it's a chain,
Correct.
and so. But is that chain? Or is it taut?
It's curved.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's by design?
Yeah, I mean, that's how sea skull dredges are built. They're pretty big curve and I mean, guys have used chain swing dredges before. There was never any reality of that. Like, the issue is really just the weight thing.
I guess if it was taut, it would do more damage, right? So you give a little
You-
play as it's going along, right?
Yeah, you really can't have it completely taut. I mean, it's pretty much impossible to make it, straight.
so ultimately, Tara, does this require some modification in the regulation?
I mean, I think I would probably talk to Jeff and JC and just see how they want to modify that regulation to reflect the amount of rings. And then this, while we're figuring all this out, I think that it should, in my opinion, be just a pass for now
Mhm.
until we figure it out, as long as everything's like weighted correctly.
Mhm.
But I will talk to Jeff and JC about that and get back to you.
All right, great.
Mr. Chairman, but did JC have a problem with these judges?
I couldn't tell you that.
Okay.
I mean, he hasn't told anybody he can't use them, so.
He would know it, right?
And he ordered them
Except
for
for
us,
the
though.
weight.
Sounds like he's simply counting rings and making sure it doesn't exceed the size of, the depth.
Weight
bag
and the weight.
And the
Yeah,
length.
okay. Just,
Okay, any more discussion on dredge modifications? I kept this on here as well. I know you, Mr. Franzuto explained this to us, in the tail end of our last meeting, but this, just to clarify, the submerged boat wreckage, off of First Pier in Monomoy, you spoke with the harbor master about this and
I tried to get a hold of her again today to get an update, but I wasn't able to get a hold of her. But her report for the last meeting is that the Marine Department was going to have it removed and ensure reimbursement from the owner because it was court ordered. So there shouldn't be a problem. I guess they'll eventually get their money, but the main thing is the boat's going to get out of the water.
Okay, so there's full awareness of what's there. And progress is being made on it being removed.
Right.
Jim, I just want to clarify with you because this came from Bruce. This information, Bruce Cowan, and do I recall him mentioning there, actually it was through your dad from Bruce, so it's kind of like fourth hand to me,
Right.
and is there more than one?
There
Piece of
may,
wreckage?
there may be, I'm not 100% sure. I haven't been over there myself. I know Bruce got hung up on it and stuff last year. I think it's a lot of old stuff that's been left over. for
Yeah.
a while. I'm not exactly sure which boat it was that sank, or other boats in the past have sunk. There's still pieces there, but. I do have a question for Dave, and you can answer best, but Dave, isn't under federal stuff, isn't there, like all wrecks are being moved, basically
No.
from? There's no.
No,
Okay.
No, unfortunately, we have it pretty well covered in the bylaw, but the problem is, as you well know, Jim, that when they get to this point, you're chasing your tail as far as, the owner.
Oh,
You
sure,
know,
no,
and the ownership changes about every 15 minutes. So, if you're able to nail down the owner, which I believe they have in this case, I have a question that I'm not clear on. How long has this particular boat been there?
I'll have to check with Bruce about it.
right.
Dave,
I can.
Dave, can you talk to Bruce Cowan directly?
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Jim,
and
email me his phone number.
Okay,
he's the one who reported it, and, I'd like for you, since, you've been in contact, with the harbor master, and if you continue to stay in contact, which would be nice, I'd hate for there to be a salvage operation and anything else be missed
Well,
and left.
Right,
left lying there.
that's a good point. It would really be silly to, go through all this effort and then not get it all. So,
Exactly, yes.
Jim, do you have my cell phone number?
I may. Let me check. I do. I will text you Bruce's number.
All right, that'd be great. Thank you.
Right.
Okay, anything else? On the submerged wreckage? Peter has drawn up a draft for
Could-
tabs. Dave?
Could I just ask one question back on the dredge real quick?
Yes, please.
Jim, on that sweep, do you have, I have a scallop dredge that has about 3/4 inch rollers on that.
Mhm.
Does yours have rollers?
I have one that has like a lead roller sweep that I'm trying. Otherwise, no, there's chain, about 1/2 inch chain.
Okay. But the one I have is it's got, it's not tight,
Right.
but, and I believe they're plastic. All right, but anyway, well, when I get back on island next week, when we do show and tell, I'll bring that dredge in some. I also have one with a very, very radical cutting bar on it.
Mhm. I think steel or lead rollers is pretty common on the Cape.
Yeah, these two came to me via George Anders via the Vineyard.
Right.
Because you remember his boat was the only boat he towed off the top of the A-frame.
Don't really recall, but
Yeah, but he towed off the top of the A-frame, and that's how they do it on the Vineyard. And that's how, and not to belabor this, but that's also how one of those guys got killed. The thing fetched up and ripped the A-frame down on top of it. But anyway, we'll do show and tell on dredges.
Okay. The annual report. Does everybody had a chance to look at it?
I brought a
Yes.
copy. If you guys didn't see it.
I read it. It sounded good to me, Peter.
I mean, I just did bullet items because I didn't have it all tied together, but I wanted you to have something, and I kind of a brain fart like a week ago. I'm like, oh crap. The annual report, and I looked back through my emails, and Eric had said it was due November 1, so I thought I better get it done.
I think bullet items are better. Quicker read,
They'll probably
better
change it on.
chance they'll read it.
They'll probably change it on us. Put it back. Anyway, they're specific about type size and font, and so I'll make it so that it all flows. But
Paragraph 4, you refer to NRD as NRTD. Just gotta remove the T.
If there's anything else, I mean, let me know, guys.
Thank you, Peter. That looks good.
Okay, so I will have that done. Actually, I'll just finish it and send it out.
All right, anybody else on the annual report? Board members? Modifications, questions? Look it over. If you come up with anything, let Peter know. Any public questions or comments? I just have, go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, bring this up. I think it's supposed to be on the agenda at some point, but the coupon. The coupon reimbursement for scholar proposal, did that ever get talked about when I wasn't here? We talk about that now, should we leave the next meeting?
Can we talk about that,
Well,
or should it be on the agenda?
we can't take a vote on it. I
Yeah.
mean, if this is recapping items for the next meeting, we're pretty, I don't know, we're pretty loose on.
Yeah,
We've had some really long discussions under this particular heading, which get a little out of control. So,
Do you want to leave it for last? If we have time here, we can talk about it.
I mean,
Maybe yes,
the issue is that if.
tonight, this is last.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I meant if we had needed public comment stuff.
The issue is that we didn't put it on the agenda, so people who might want to come and discuss it can't. So then if we can't obviously make a decision on it, so it doesn't really have any impact on the people who might have a hand in the conversation. But I guess it's kind of a gray area, so, I mean.
We brought it up before.
Okay.
And we haven't, it's definitely worthy of discussion, but everybody should be warned ahead of time that we will be discussing it. If there's something you'd like to express in one sentence this evening, I'll allow that.
Okay.
But otherwise, we'll discuss it as an agenda item.
All right, since I brought these with me tonight, I may forget next time. But a lot of people probably realize that this is a lobster trap tag. I think in my proposal I had written, you'd be issued these for your extra box. So that it would be on the box when you brought it in as your coupon. And once these are clipped on the box, you can't reuse it. You cut it off and you use it one time. There's no way to pull it apart anymore. Unless you break it. That was my only thing.
Okay, all right. Great idea.
Easy solution. Yeah.
Tara, did you have something you wanted to add?
I just want to say, I think like we need to have everybody here to contribute to the discussion.
Okay, quickly, if you don't mind, Tara, I should have asked you this back during the report because I saw where NRD was out with their boat moving some seed after that notice that there was some seed washed up in Walwyn. And just curious of how that went and is the boat working well and efficiently and the crew that you have involved in this is feeling comfortable with the boat and the equipment and efficiently moving seed without, on a small scale without having to call out volunteers and you're all kind of like feeling good about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think like after last year, we have a little more perspective on like what a massive seed stranding is. And so, when the call came in that it was a massive seed stranding, it was not, it was very small and it was already, picked over by birds and
Sure,
you have to consider the tides and the daylight left in the day and that sort of thing. So I think people had a hard time with us not rallying for the last hour of daylight to like pick up the seed. But I mean, our scallop boat works great, it's dialed in. We usually have, we can operate it with 2 people, but we usually have 4 people for lifting everything and just kind of doing it. We know where the seed was because of the surveys, but it's moved around a lot. So there isn't as much that seems vulnerable from what we can see. We've done a lot of test tows and we go out on clear days and look down. We were moving stuff prior to the stranding, like we knew that there was a little bit of seed there, and so. We did move that, and then we went back up there Monday, yesterday.
Yeah.
And. You know, didn't really see what we had anticipated and seeing with the wind that we had. We had hoped that it had blown it up in windrows and that we would be able to just kind of swipe through the shallows, and there wasn't a lot, and so we ended up going to quays. And doing test tows along quays and looking at the bottom and Foley Mill and UMass Field Station, and ended up saying, I don't think there's anything to worry about, so we're just waiting for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, which is the next wind event. To kind of go out and check, but for right now, I would say there isn't a lot of seed to move that we can't handle, you know. Once a week or something like that, just for maintenance. But that could change, you know. The seed that we're seeing in Wawinet, there's 20 per liter, 20 seed per liter, and last year we were moving stuff that was like 100 per liter. So the stuff is really big up there, which is awesome to see because it's really healthy. But yeah, I'm not concerned yet until we see a little bit more that's vulnerable.
Okay, is it in the regulations? I imagine it must be, of what happens, to confiscated catch. And, I'm asking this because I was recently asked, because the stick has been coming out, taking away excessive crowns. And the question was asked, what happens to what is removed from those boxes? Is there a specific answer for that?
It's not in the regulation. There've
Okay.
been several iterations of what happens to that.
Mhm.
They used to go to the openers and they would end up at the island home. We got chastised for doing that by the Board of Health. But I know what we used to do is, if you had a significant number, and the biologist didn't need it or want it, then it got thrown on the boat and taken up harbor and dumped.
Okay. Is this something that should be addressed, so there's more specific?
I think that I'd like JC to answer that question.
Yeah.
I know that we are equipped with large freezers, and if, you know, there's an infraction that's not a quantity, it's more like a seed problem. The whole catch is like retained. And I know that also catches have been dumped off our dock too. So I'm not, he probably should answer that question as to what he's doing now.
Okay.
Yeah, Tara brings up a good point. I mean, if you got 5 boxes, that's one thing. If you've got, 40 scallops or 60 scallops, you just scraped off somebody's crown, then that's a whole nother subject.
Yes, yes.
As Alan Holgate would say, those are hors d'oeuvres.
Yes. To the scalloper, I would think some of them are gonna take that a little more seriously. And of course, at the moment, they are frustrated, aggravated, so. I just remember in the past, somebody mentioning to the shellfish warden, I'd like to go with you. Back out into the harbor, to see you release these. And so I didn't know whether it was covered in the regulations or not. Thank you for that, Tara. Anything else for next meeting aside from the coupons? Next meeting is December 17th. If there's something else you'd like to add between now and then, just give Peter or myself a message. If you're leaving 3 days before that, I imagine we'll do the
Let's do
agenda
it.
just before you go.
I'll do it at regular time.
Yeah, okay.
No.
Karen?
I just want to make a suggestion, if we are gonna have a bushel or a seed moving discussion. That might be better to wait till the beginning of January, because I think a lot of people will probably be out on the 17th, that close to Christmas.
Mhm.
Just a suggestion.
Okay. All right, and you would relate that coupon discussion as in that.
I would think that you
category of seed
would want
moving.
everybody that has something to say about it in the
Yeah.
same room.
Okay, all right. Jim,
Something I foresee coming down the road ways, but, there doesn't take a month for the state to be notified to come down for season extension or anything. Something we wanna put on our radar for late in the season to remember to do, because I think developers want, I think this year we're gonna be doing that. Extending the season possibly.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Or
I
if
just
you
don't
want-
want to get missed.
Or maybe discussing raising the limit for the last month. I don't know.
I think that's something that we're gonna come up to, and we don't wanna miss it.
Mhm. I agree, you know, we did this a few years ago, and kind of like the raising the catch limit by a box. I think we were told, you know, to be more ahead of the game with that type of a request. I think with the box limit, it's really difficult to be ahead of the game with that request as far as the timing goes. Because the season basically just started a month ago, and you have to know what's out there before you request to raise the limit. We're gonna know what's out there in January. And if, you know, if you notice the fleet decreasing. You know, whether it's extended or whether the limit goes up more is a good portion of the discussion as well. I think over the past few seasons, it's safe to say that it has stayed cold in April, cold enough to, you know, to extend the season. So, either way, okay. That's a good agenda item as well, but probably not for our next meeting.
No, I just don't want to get missed.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe a January discussion.
Yeah. If there's nothing else to discuss, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second it.
Motion's made by Mr. Bossy, seconded by Mr. Anderson to adjourn tonight's meeting. All in favor, Mr. Bossy,
Aye.
Mr. Anderson,
Aye.
Mr. Sherlin,
Aye.
Mr. Brace,
All right.
Mr. Franzuto.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you, everyone. Good night. Have a wonderful